All right, back to the money. Back to Detroit Lions. Your boy CJ Goodfella, Motor City Sports Talk. We in the building. Talking about how the Lions can acquire more picks in the draft. They only have 5 picks this year. Man, they got some players that they can get rid of, in my opinion. A lot of people on that Ebron wave. I'm done with him. I've been done with him. He's just not gonna start catching the ball all of a sudden. He had a high drop rate in college. Probably had a high drop rate in Pop Warner. Probably had a high drop rate in high school. So for people saying, "Oh, he did good down the stretch," it don't mean nothing because they didn't make the playoffs. He didn't make no critical catches, when it really mattered. And if you notice with Eric Ebron, every time he drops the ball, it becomes contagious. And so is Golden Tate. He's part of that deal as well. As soon as Ebron drop a pass, he'll drop a pass as well. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to cut bait when it's time to cut bait in the NFL. This ain't the NBA. This ain't Major League Baseball. You got to be able to see a player's decline and know their value before, they enter the last year of their deal. And that's Golden Tate. People act like Golden Tate is that integral part of the Lions offense. He's not an imperative part of this offense. It's not a must that we have Golden Tate. He's not like, oh, if we don't got Golden Tate, it's over with. No, it's not like Julian Edelman or Wes Welker in the slot. And people over-glorifying what he does in the slot. And it may not be his fault. Let me say that. Jim Bob Cooter, some games he just gets away from Golden Tate. And if he's not going to be a consistent guy like Jarvis Landry in the slot, who gonna get 10 or 15 catches almost a game, or at least 20 targets a game, and eat up in the slot and open things up for guys on the outside, then that's Jim Bob Cooter's fault, because Golden Tate can be that. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, he's a 5'10 guy that's approaching, the decline in his career, what the NFL numbers tell us, and you can't pay that guy number 1 or 2 money. Like I told people about Calvin Johnson and Dominican Sue, and also Matthew Stafford. You couldn't have those 3 high payrolls on your, them 3 high contracts on your payroll. For the simple fact, because you're not winning. You're not making the playoffs consistently. So, you got to cut bait before starting to cut bait. You got to take all their emotional ties to guys. And love Golden Tate, but he got value. He really do. He got value out there. Ebron got value out there. Amir Abdullah, believe it or not, has value. And Ziggy Ansah has value if you could trade him for the right trade. But the thing about Ziggy Ansah is the fact that where are you going to get a pass rusher that can at least get you 12 sacks? The Lions have to find a way to cut that number down, in my opinion. They really do. They got to get that number down. That's 17, 18 million. They got money to blow. You got to cut that number down. You got to give him to a 2 or 3 year contract, or you got to dump this guy off and bring some defensive end talent somewhere else. But the bad thing about it is not out there. So if you trade him, you might have to trade him for a player or something like that. But the other 3 you can get picks for him. Abdullah is worth a 6, maybe a 5th at the best. You can find good talent there. Golden Tate, you probably can get a 3 or 4 or 5 for him as well. He in the last year of his contract. Ebron is worth around that as well. So those are good middle of the round picks where Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, Naheem Hines can be. You can find good talent late there in the draft. Look, they found Kenny Galladay in the 4th round. But I think it's time for the Lions to kind of move from that nucleus, in my opinion, the 3 offensive players. And I'm like, who are you going to get to play tight end? Well, you got to figure it out. It's guys out there like the kid from Philadelphia who needs a shot, the former quarterback. That's slipping my name right now. Tyler Eifert is coming. He's injury prone, though. Jimmy Graham will be an excellent option for the right price. I've been pushing that. A lot of people have been giving me hell. But I think Jimmy Graham and Stafford would be nice. It's kind of time to change over that offense a little bit. The Lions are kept coming with this core the last few years, and it's like keep banging your head against the same brick wall, and it's not going nowhere. It's time to change it up, in my opinion. And those 3 guys can legitimately go. It's time to switch it up. And Ziggy, I understand why they got to keep Ziggy. It ain't guys that can walk around and get 12, 15 sacks a year while being injured like he did last year. And could do that. If he get healthy, he could be a beast. And I would sign him to a Lions-friendly contract, maybe 3 years. So I'm really not prone to trade him unless you get you a pass rusher or a good, solid draft pick in return. Like at least a 2nd. But, the rest of them can go. It's time to change over that offense, offensive nucleus. Give it over to Galladay. Give it over to Jones, and find somebody at tight end, man. People, Ebron ain't that guy. He ain't going to be a number 1 tight end. So you go out there, and what's that? Trey Burton, I think the guy name is, from Philadelphia. I like him a lot. And Jimmy Graham, I like him a lot. It's a couple other tight ends I like in free agency. So that's a void that could be filled, and you get draft picks in return. I know a lot of people not gonna feel me on this, but at the end of the day, man, you can't hold on to talent and pay, and they got contracts coming up as well, and let them walk for nothing, and you're not winning with them. So I mean, turn it into an asset. But it's Mercy Sports Talk. We out.